What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Two Goat Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph. Steph, happy Two Goat Thursday. It's good to see you. It's been a while. Glad to be back.
No, I know it's been a while. Sucks we couldn't talk about the win last week, and now this week we're talking about a loss again, right?
Yeah,
But hopefully, this is setting up to be a win this week for the 49ers.
I agree. Chat, what's up? Happy Two Goat Thursday. Hope everybody's doing great. Hope everybody's had a great week so far. Throwback, Don, appreciate you both as always. Jason, what's good? Everybody else out there, what's up? Everybody that watches back on replay, that watches, that's not in chat, what's up to y'all? We appreciate you all as well. Please make sure you hit that like, subscribe to both channels, Steph 49K and Faithfully in Vegas. We greatly appreciate you all. So yeah, obviously we didn't get to, and I'm kind of glad because, I would have been sitting here hyping up that the 49ers were going to beat Kansas City just for them to let me down and make me look like a fool. Anyway, so glad I didn't have to sit there and talk about it. But, man, like, I don't know, like let me start with the reason I even had hope that the 49ers could possibly pull this out against Kansas City is because I kept thinking, okay, Kansas City's undefeated, so they have to eventually lose, right? They're not very unlikely that they go the entire season being undefeated. So I'm like, eventually they got to lose. So why not this week against us, right? Then I'm thinking, well, they keep beating the 49ers ass. So eventually the 49ers have to beat them. Like, you're not just going to beat us forever. Like, sooner or later, the 49ers have to beat Kansas City, right? Like, what? We're going to let this go on for a freaking 10 years? They're still going to be kicking our ass? No, we got to beat them sooner or later. So I'm like, all this sooner or later's got to come together and we got to do it. But, then I don't know. Like, this game was just, obviously, you guys know, Brandon Ayuk is like my favorite guy. So to lose him, obviously, like, broke my heart. And then for it to be a ACL, MCL plus, who knows, it's just like after everything, the whole offseason bullshit and all that, like, to then lead to him tearing his ACL just made me sick. And then obviously us, like, I don't know, like, it seems like we're like, the way I pictured it is like, we're like the bullies in the NFL, right? Like, we're pounding everybody's ass, like, except for, this season, not so much, but, like, people fear
Right.
the 49ers, regardless if we're winning or losing, right? And then it's like, we get to Kansas City and all of a sudden we, like, all of our fear and everything that we're giving to everybody else, like, turns and flips on us. And like, we turn into the whippies. Like, I don't know what the hell happens. Like, they get out there, they forget how to play football. They forget how to coach football. They forget how to fucking do anything. Like, it's just so bizarre how it continues to keep happening. Steph, just give me your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this loss to Kansas City?
I mean, I hate to say it, but I do think that if this was the time for the 49ers to beat the Chiefs, like, it would have been Sunday, right? And when I say Chiefs, I mean Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs, right? I after losing to them in this game and how they lost to them, I just don't see it happening, right? I don't see the 49ers beating them. I think the mental aspect of it, when you talk about teams owning other teams, that's in the 49ers heads right now. It'll continue to be until they get that monkey off their back. Just like we talk about the 49ers owning the Cowboys right now, just like we talked about, in the past, the Seahawks owning the Niners, how we look at the Seahawks now, the 49ers owning the Seahawks, right? Like, we're seeing that play out with the 49ers and the Chiefs. And so that's definitely discouraging, right? I also think as of right now, like, I don't think the 49ers are a Super Bowl contending team. They simply just do not look like it. I felt like this was going to be a measuring stick for the 49ers, right? And they looked like a team that's a tier below the contenders. That, I don't even know how else to put it. So, yeah, it was it was a gut check, I think, moment for the 49ers. And I agree that like the 49ers have been the bullies for a long time. And I actually don't think teams fear the 49ers like they did in the past, right? And I think you're seeing that with how teams are playing the 49ers. And I think we're also seeing the 49ers, I don't want to say fold, but like when they get bullied, they don't know, they're shook. Like they don't know how to fight back is what it looks like, right? So that's concerning. Yeah, I mean that's how I'm feeling about this team after this loss. I do think that this game against the Cowboys is coming at a perfect time because again, about the 49ers owning the Cowboys in recent history, their last 3 or 4 matchups. And if the 49ers could keep that going against this Cowboys team that's also struggling right now, then, could get some of those juices flowing again. You got the bye week, you're getting some guys healthy after that. And then it's like, okay, let's handle this gauntlet. Let's lock in, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't beat the Cowboys, then we're having a whole entirely different discussion next week, Miriah. I'll tell you that much.
I agree. Before we get into the Cowboys, so, obviously when your team is losing, you're like, I think the natural thing for fans is to, well, who's to blame, right? Somebody has to be to blame. Like, no way our team's just going out there shitting the bed and nobody's to blame, right? So I've gotten on the line, right? And I've seen after this loss, part of the fan base is, and I think has been, and I think it's just continuing, the people that are on this side, is the fire. Everything's Kyle's fault. Fire Kyle. We need a new head coach. I've seen polls put up about, who the next head coach should be, all kinds of different head coaching things. Then there's part of the fan base that it's the DC's fault. So everything, blame Sorensen, his defense is ass. They're whatever. Part of the fan base, everything is the DC's fault. Then, obviously, I think we're all on board that special teams is complete shit. And so I think majority is blaming special teams, obviously. So kind of, it's probably a mixture of everything, right? Plus injuries, plus who knows what's going on with the players. I don't really know. But I don't want to necessarily say, like, ask you who you're placing blame on. But when you look at, like, what's going on with the 49ers right now, like, what are your thoughts? Like, what the hell's going on, Like, what is it? Like, the offense can't seem to do anything. So is it a Kyle's problem? Is it the players? The defense, they've been making plays, so is it a defensive problem? Like, where's your head at with where the state of the 49ers is right now?
I think you could definitely place blame on a number of things. It isn't just any one thing. And that's what's frustrating about when the team loses, everyone tries to find the one thing or the one biggest thing that, is the reason the 49ers are losing and losing like this. And it's never just any one thing. Like, we got to look at it a little more nuanced than that. I mean, football is a team sport. And it's a sport also that trickles down. Like, it's not like, yes, the coaches have a hand in the blame. The players as well have some hand in the blame. Like, execution has to be on point because, like, everyone wants to criticize Kyle Shanahan with play calling. And I'm not saying, like, we aren't allowed to criticize that. Like, yes, we can. But I'm also saying that you should be able to criticize other things as well. It isn't just all on Kyle. It isn't just all on the players. It isn't all just on Nick Sorensen. It isn't all just on Brian Schneider, even though, right now, how I'm feeling about Brian Schneider. But, it's a bunch of things. And I almost feel like that's more concerning because there's a lot to fix. It isn't, when it is just one or a couple of things, it's easier to just be like, okay, they just need to fix this, right? But when you look at a lot of the things that's going on right now, mostly like on the offensive side, right? Like I think it's a little more mind-boggling. You look at this team having no issue like going down the field in most cases, but like they can't score in the red zone, right? You see this team not be able to convert consistently on third down and things like that. And on the defensive side, honestly, I feel like the defense is all right. Like I've seen what people are saying out there. There's like two different sides of the fan base right now when it comes to the defense. One that like thinks Sorensen is doing well, and the other side that will say like Nick Sorensen needs to be fired. Like I just think that's par for the course whenever you have losses. Like for some reason, defense and a new defensive coordinator is going to be low hanging fruit for people to latch onto. But yeah, I mean, I just think there's a lot of things going on, and so that's why I'm kind of looking at this game as a get right, not just from the standpoint of we can win this game, but it's an opportunity to kind of fix or test out some things that may work going forward against this weak Cowboys team and their defense. And then also, just kind of testing things out and seeing what works, and carrying that over to following weeks to come.
Yeah, I definitely hope this is a get right game. It's either get right or you're getting really wrong. One of the two is happening. So hopefully we're on the get right part of it. Before we get too much into the Cowboys game, I want to specifically talk about like your thoughts. We've talked a lot about the rookie class, and normally we don't get to see our rookies used that much because we know how Kyle is, right? So this season, we talked about when they were drafted, them being, pretty much on the older side, all had, years of playing time. Now, we're getting to see a lot of these guys play, mostly due to injuries, but, they're having to step up and play. And for the most part, like I wouldn't say surprised, because I think a lot of us, on paper and what we had seen from them, on film and whatnot, expected them to be pretty good. But you never know how it's going to work, right? And, I think I've been pleasantly happy. I've been very happy with what I've seen by most of them. What are your thoughts from what you've seen from the rookies? And now that we've lost Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the season, obviously we'll talk about, if Juwan Jennings, might not be available for this game, but, moving forward, he'll be here. But specifically what you think, if Cowing and Pearsall, how you think they're going to handle, taking obviously more reps and filling in for the loss of Brandon Ayuk?
Well, I'll start with the defensive rookies, which we've been seeing for a few weeks now. You already kind of know how I feel about them. They've been great. You see them getting more snaps. Bernardo Green has kind of taken over as a third corner over Isaac Yiadom, right? And so we're starting to see those changes, and I think those are positive for the 49ers. Malik Mustafa as well is looking a lot better. So I think it's great to see that these rookies aren't really like afraid. And what did we say about this rookie class when, like, after the draft? We were like, this is a class of guys that's like ready to go. Like they were kind of older, like they were like what, 24, or like they weren't as raw, like they were NFL ready. And that's what you want. And it's crazy the way that it's all kind of playing out, right? Because had it been last year, for example, we'd have probably never seen some of these rookies, because like the 49ers were well with their health and all that. And now, I mean, the 49ers really need to lean on that youth. They're really getting into their depth, and they are fortunate that they had that type of draft class, right? So I'm expecting the same from the wide receivers like Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall. That's why I've been wanting to see them. Like, I have been pushing for them to get more playing time. I understand there's certain guys who have gotten paid. You can't play rookies over, but like, come on, like a couple snaps here and there won't kill you, right? And in the meantime, it'll get them more comfortable with playing, and just help their chops a little bit. So now their learning curve has to speed up a little bit, which is fine. Like, I think they can handle it, right? I think it's kind of like Kyle, that maybe a little more reserved in wanting to put the rookies out there and afraid of what could happen or what mistakes they could make. And there will be mistakes, right?
Right.
But when I see, veteran receivers running the wrong route, and not to cherry pick a couple of plays, but like, not that Chris Conley's always running the wrong route, but the rookies can just as easily run the wrong route, but they could also in the meantime also run some good routes and get a deep ball downfield and show their speed. And like, so I like the upside. I like the upside of playing the rookies. I think this week against the Cowboys, we'll probably get a good look at them. It seems like Debo trending towards playing. Juwan Jennings, probably not though. So we are going to get a good look at both of those guys in this one. After the bye, I'm not so sure, because yes, like, we'll probably see one or the other of like Pearsall or Cowing, but then Juwan Jennings will be back, Debo will be back. So those will be your main two guys. And then they'll mix in probably Cowing, Pearsall. But I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think they're up for it. I think they've been itching to get out there, and they're NFL ready, just like the rest of the rookies on this team. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, tech, brings up, and this is a thing I've seen, pretty much across the board with these rookies when they get up there and talk, just with their knowledge of the game, even, they're very like mature, like you could tell, like some rookies get up there in the media their first few times and it's just like, man, get them down from the mic, please. Like, this is a disaster, right? Like, they're just like up there either talking to them like they're their homies, or they're like won't answer any questions at all. Like, but these guys are all very mature. They seem very knowledgeable. You can tell like they've all ran a shit ton of plays, like they know what's going on. So Tech brings up a good point. It says even with Ricky, though he has barely touched the NFL field, has that maturity, especially after what he went through. And, like I see, a lot of you guys talking about a bunch of players, like even, Isaac Guerrero, we had only seen him touch the field, like had like 6 touches through the first how many ever games. And it took Mason getting hurt for, us to finally, people were already calling Guerrero a bust up until that point. Like, oh, get him out another running back bust, like all this shit. And then all of a sudden he goes in for Mason and has, a 99-yard game, like literally was the reason we won that game. So all it takes for these guys is to get in there and actually get playing time. Like you said, like we probably wouldn't even be able to see these wide receivers yet, like we're getting to see them now because of injury. And like, I would never wish that, obviously having Juwan Jennings on the field is much better than having him off. But the good side to this, if he doesn't play this week, is that we will get to see, Cowing and Pearsall get in there, actually get the reps, get more playing time, because like you said, after the bye, they might not get that playing time, right? It's going to be very sparingly depending on injuries, health, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm super excited, with this, obviously, down to oh my god, I'm drawing a blank, like his name is right on the tip of my tongue, Pooney. Like they've all, even Kyle said in his presser, like we didn't draft any of these guys with, the expectation that they would be starting, like with them having a starting spot already on the team, he's like, but, with injuries and whatever, they've moved right in. And like we said, Kyle usually doesn't want to play these rookies early. So obviously you don't want to see people get hurt, like I said, but I'm happy to see because they're that little graph that goes, that's them. We're on the upward. And this team is getting older if you think about it, right? Like our stars, the guys making money, like they're getting up there in age. So you have to, like, we needed to nail a draft class, like in order to, get this roster, like replenish the roster. Like you have to be able to do this. So like shout out to the 49ers. And, even remember, like they kept saying that all the good draft picks were always, what's his face over there at Washington. They always credited him for all our good draft picks, and all the bad draft picks were always Kyle and John's fault. And now, like, that guy wasn't here for this draft, and like they pretty much nailed. I mean, it's only 6 whatever games into the season, right? So you can't say that much. But from what we've seen, like they've hit on these draft picks. So I don't know. We got to start giving, the right people credit around here, because what is that guy's name at Washington? Why am I drawing a blank?
Adam Peters.
Yeah, Adam Peters. Yeah, it was always Adam Peters that he got all the credit for the good draft picks. But
and not to say that he didn't have a hand in those picks, because he had a great draft with Washington too. But the other guy was Rand Carthon, who's the Titans GM now. So I don't know. Yeah, they're
that guy gonna be out of a job soon. Yeah, they're a dumpster fire. All right. See, at least, even though we're losing games, like I don't look at the 49ers and think like, obviously I might put out some tweets and tweet with my heart. And of course I'm a fan, so I get mad and emotional just like anybody else, right? But if I actually sit down and think like, like when I think of teams like that, or like the Browns, like I'm so glad to, at least we could be losing a couple games here, but at least we're not one of those teams where I'm just so freaking embarrassed to even be a fan of the team. Like I'm still walking around Vegas sporting my 49ers gear every day of the week. Like there's no embarrassment for me being a 49ers fan. So at least I can stand on that we're not one of those dumpster fire teams, Let's get into this Cowboys game. So we talked about, obviously, no Brandon Ayuk. Kittle and Debo both did return to practice. Jawan Jennings and Kevin Givens have not practiced Wednesday and Thursday, so it's not looking good for them. On the Cowboys side, Micah Parsons has not practiced Wednesday or Thursday. He has, I think a high ankle sprain, or I don't know, something with the ankle sprain. So most likely he's not going to. Yeah, and then also DeMarcus Lawrence is still out for the Cowboys as well. So a couple big pieces on defense they're missing for them. The Cowboys they have been pretty mid when it comes to offense and defense. However, their special teams is at the very top of the league. And the 49ers, obviously we know their special teams is at the very bottom of the league. So I talked about this on my show on Tuesday. I used to, when Jimmy G was the quarterback, and you guys, if you watch my shows, have already know, when he used to drop back to throw the football, right? I used to get sick to my stomach. Like literally felt like I was going to puke, poop, something. I hated it, right? Because you just knew an interception was coming. Like it was just a matter of time before he threw an interception. That's how I am feeling now with the special teams. When the other team, when we kick off to the other team, I feel nauseous and sick to my stomach because I just know it's just a matter of time before they let that freaking returner run one back on them. And it's just like, it's crazy. Like these guys like don't know how to freaking tackle, or like they all run to one side and their guy comes and runs this side around them. It's just like, what are you guys even doing? Like, so I'm very nervous, very, very nervous when it comes to Dallas being able to return on us. But when it comes to offense and defense, like I'm not worried, to say the least. I think our defense, as long as, our young guys can continue to show up, I think they should be able to handle. Dak is he is just so overpaid. It's disgusting. CeeDee Lamb is like obviously the best part of that offense, right? Like you have to give him his credit. He's great. And then their running game is non-existent. And then we talked about their 2 injuries on their defense. Their defense is just, like you have these big hyped names in the back end of the defense that continue to give up big plays and pass interference and, all this stuff. So as long as we're able to, take advantage when the time is right, I think 49ers, don't make me look fucking stupid another week. I swear to God. I think we should be able to take care of business and get this dub before we go into the bye. Sunday Night Football. It's also tight end. What is it? National Tight End Day. So good to see George Kittle back at practice today. I hope to see George Kittle go off Sunday night. We know how he loves to play prime time. So feed our guy because, he's going to be one of our top receivers now. So get him. Your thoughts on this game, Steph?
Yeah, I mean, this has to be the get right game. I definitely feel more confident about this game than I did the Chiefs game. That's with the injuries that the 49ers are dealing with too. Like I still feel like the 49ers should beat this team because the 49ers have a better GM, which matters. I mean, when you look at how both of these teams are built right now, like that does matter. You have the Cowboys who their best running back is Rico Dowdle. A lot of you probably just asked who exactly.
Uncle Rico.
And the 49ers have the better team and they have the better coach as well, right? It's time for them to show that, to prove that. So I think this has to be one that they win. Like I said, if they lose this one, which I think would be uncharacteristic, even with the flaws that they've shown, I think it'd be uncharacteristic for them to drop this one. They should come away with a win in this one.
Tech, ask you a question here. You mentioned Dallas special teams DVOA a couple times recently. Do you know if that is for returns or their own coverage?
I believe it takes into account both. So like overall special teams DVOA. So both returns and like kicking and in coverage.
Well, what were the numbers then? Smarty pants.
Oh, I only got the numbers from someone else, but
another smarty pants.
Yeah. So 49ers are 31st in special teams DVOA. Cowboys are number 1 in special teams DVOA. Oh, but to answer your question, Technic, I did see they do have it split out by different sectors. So field goals, for example, 49ers are 10th in special teams DVOA. Kickoffs, they're 31st. Kick returns, they're 30th. Punts, they're 30th. Punt returns, they're 26th, right? So overall, they're 31st. Cowboys, special teams DVOA. Field goals, number 1. Kickoffs, number 3. Kick returns, number 1. Punts, 25. Punt returns, 23. Overall, number 1. From David Lombardi.
I gotta go jump. I'll be right back. Man, God. Like, I don't know. Kyle was asked about special teams and he pretty much blamed it on like a effort and needing to tackle and they need to be taught better. But like, if your coach sucks,
he's like Kyle kind of sounded fed up, right? Like it sounded like he was kind of at his wit's end with special teams and being asked about it. And a part of me, like, obviously I hope that he's over it. Like he needs to be over it. I'm ready for him to turn the page on that. Like that's the least he can do this season, right? Is take out the trash.
Do you really see Kyle having the balls to do that mid-season though?
Yeah, I mean,
like, do you think we could see that happening on the bye, for example?
You remember that last season there was all this talk about if the 49ers like lose X game, like that the 49ers would fire oh my god, I'm already forgetting his name. Like who's the
I can't remember names for shit today. I don't know why.
Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Steve Wilkes. So that was last season, right? I think obviously Brian Schneider's having an even worse year than Wilkes was having last year, right? So and where the 49ers bye week is, it isn't like too early or too late into the season. It's smack dab in the middle. I don't know who you would promote. Like you'd have to feel pretty decent enough about someone in-house, right? That you can just kind of hire as the interim special teams coordinator. But like at this point, like how worse can it get?
Exactly.
Right?
Like
I don't see it getting any worse.
Tag me in. Shit. I'll take it over. Does what's his face? Brandon Staley, does he have any special teams?
I don't think so. History? I don't know.
I mean, that would be perfect if so, because just bump him because who knows what he does. Nobody knows what the hell he's doing.
Congratulations, you've been demoted to special teams coordinator.
Just comma added on to whatever his titles. Because yeah, that's the thing. You know, if Kyle did grow his cojones enough to be able to make the firing over, you know, let's say over the bye, it's like, then what? Like,
yeah, I mean, there definitely needs
who the assistant yada yadas of special teams are.
Like, right? Like, there needs to be a plan. I just wouldn't be surprised if it's crossed their mind already.
Man, I hope so. Because like you said, I mean, it can't get any worse. Like, what, we're going to move to dead last? We're 31st. We can move to 32nd. Like, and especially if the Cowboys special teams goes off on us. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, this could be the game right before bye week where shit hits the fan.
Like, I hope not for our sake.
I hope not, right?
At the same time.
Yeah. Like if that's what it's gonna take to make that decision, I don't know. I wouldn't be too mad as long as like it came to a resolution.
Still win.
Right. That too.
If we could still get the dub and get rid of the guy. Like, I wish they would have just left him in Seattle. That's where he came from. Like, after we, you know, got done in the game in there, he should have just left his ass there. Like, you can have him back. Thanks, but no thanks. But for sure, regardless, I mean, let's say Kyle doesn't, you know, get rid of him during the season. At the end of the season, I don't care what what happens the rest of the season. I don't care if we finish 15th. Like, you have to get rid of him. Like, we can't keep going through this every single season. Like, special teams went from ass. Then you fire the coach and you hire this guy, and then it's asser. Like, we can't. Like, we have to get better. Like, it's not fair to the defense and the offense to be busting their ass, and special teams goes out there and looks like a clown show, you know? Like, it's ridiculous. All right, Steph, let me pull out some numbers here. Now, we didn't have, you know, our show last week, so we don't have no numbers to calculate.
You should have taken mine, because it would have helped my numbers, my score.
I mean, you need all the help you can get, but no.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. This week, 49ers versus Dallas. What you got for me?
All right. So this week, earlier today, I had two different predictions, because when there's too many injuries, I got to take that into account. So, but since then, we saw that Kittle and Debo are practicing. So I'm going to say they play, and I'm not going to give my second prediction. So I'll just say this, because if those guys play, I think the 49ers win. I think they get back to 30. I'll say this. We didn't talk about this, but we've been talking this season about how terrible the 49ers red zone offense is. The Cowboys red zone defense is the second worst in the league. So like,
Dang.
yeah, the
Okay.
31st worst. Yeah.
So we might be able
So
to score a couple touchdowns.
that's what I'm saying. Like this is the game where they have to punch it in. Like I don't want any excuses. And like if Kyle feels like he wants to try some things and see what works in the red zone, this would be the game to do it in too, I think. So I say they get some in. I'm gonna go 30-21.
Okay. 30-21. Now, I had to think about if I was going to put us over 30 points. This is a thing I go through every single week. And every time still that I have guessed us to be over 30 points, the 49ers have let me down. The weeks that I guessed us to be under 30 points, those are the weeks that the 49ers scored over 30 points. So,
okay. All right.
For my sake and the 49ers' sake, now I'll just take one for the team and have to guess that we're only going to score 26. So when the 49ers really score 31, 33, 40, you're welcome. But I'm going to go 26-13 49ers.
That would be nice. I'd like that. That'd be like a convincing score,
Chat, what you guys got? Score predictions. Steve-O says 27-20.
It's a good one too.
Cowgirls suck ass. Do you think that after the 49ers win, we can expect something from Kittle? This is National Tight End Day as well. Now, remember last time we beat the Cowboys, he had the FU Cowboys shirt on. What do you think?
He did post on Instagram just a picture of, who is it, Gary Plummer, the one who wore that shirt originally. So it was subtle, right? Like it was just like, hey, we're back, like it's Cowboys week. But I don't think he does anything on the field. I think it'd be in poor taste because the 49ers have a losing record right now. Like, what have we been doing? You're victory lapping, having beat the Cowboys, who clearly worse off than you. Like, congratulations. And so I wouldn't care for it, to be quite honest with you. He might do something fun, maybe, but I don't think it'll be quite as obvious or as disrespectful as the, F Cowboys shirt.
So we got Corona 31-27, 49ers win. We got Corey Soto with 21-17, Don 29-19. I forgot to ask you, do you think the Cowboys, they're coming up their bye, right? So do you think that plays any part in this? We know they got their ass beat the game prior to going on the bye. And their running game has been, like I said, has been non-existent up until this point. So, a lot of times teams use this bye to try to, get their team right, fix whatever's wrong. Do you think, we see any type of different Cowboys team because of that?
No, not really. They're not on that level. Like,
yeah,
Andy Reid, sure. Chiefs, yes. Like, obviously, that's a team I'm scared of after the bye week. Mike McCarthy, no, I'm not. I'm not concerned about what he might dial up in a bye week. So I just looked this up really quickly. Actually, he has a 12-5 record after bye week, 7-4 record at home. As you guys know, this game is on the road for them.
Interesting.
So, but still, that doesn't move me, because I think their issues are issues they've had for some years now.
Yeah.
And I think it's even worse now. And I think they have more injuries now. So yes, the 49ers have injuries too, but like I said, I think the 49ers are a better coached team. We already talked about it, both teams being super desperate for this. What have the 49ers, what have the Cowboys done in recent years when they've been desperate? What have they done? What have they done? They've been desperate every time that they've played the Niners in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything. They haven't won those games despite being desperate. So on the other hand, what the 49ers have shown me, and I hate this. I hate that I'm saying this because like I almost feel like I'm buying into being gaslit by them. Like I'm buying into what they're selling me. Like it's true that when the 49ers are desperate, they have delivered in past years. So I'm just going to err on the side of caution and say the 49ers are going to win this game. I'm not saying they're going to like make a comeback on the season. I don't know that. But
Right.
I know at the very least they can win this game against the Cowboys.
I sure hope they do, because man, if there's one fan base like I don't want to have to hear, like it's been so nice having the bragging rights over these cowgirls, man. Like I'm not trying to have them beat us, regardless of how beat up we are, how anything. Like if there's a team you can beat, it should be this team. That record you talked about with McCarthy, that's not just with the Cowboys though, right? That's with the Packers as well. Because I don't think he's been with the Cowboys that many.
I think
buys.
that's just his head coaching career in general.
Yeah, so I mean, his Packers team was a lot better, than
in Dallas. He's 3-1 after buys, 2-1 on the road. Way smaller sample size.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll see what happens. Hopefully next week when we see you all, we're talking about a dub, because I'm tired of having to be all sad and talking about losses and all that shit. Steph, anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to tell the good people about before we get out of here?
Well, no, as always, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Steph49K tomorrow doing my preview show with Kyle Posey, KP of Niners Nation. So it's always a good one. We go through the favorable and not so favorable matchups for the 49ers, and then I'll be back on Sunday after the game, so Sunday night. That's another thing too. Like I feel like not a lot of people are talking about the fact this is a primetime game.
Yeah.
Like 49ers kind of need to perform, because everyone has kind of seen what the 49ers have put, but like not directly. Like not everyone has seen the 49ers games, but they've seen the record and they're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I think this is an opportunity to show everyone, America, why you should still be feared, right?
Yeah. I mean, you talked about, right, like the thing with the Chiefs, like, and I talked about this on my show on Tuesday, that it's like a mental thing already with the 49ers, even though in their pressers, like even Bosa, like they all sat there acting like, oh yeah, we're ready for this, like talking a good talk, but like, like I already had feared that it was already like, it's a mental thing with them until they beat them, it's going to be like this weird thing going on. Well, it's like complete opposite with the Cowboys, like I feel like if there's a team, and a time, especially that it's Sunday Night Football, if there's a team and a time for them to turn up and, like how we seen, remember that game against the Eagles when I think it was last season or whatever, our first game playing them since what happened to Brock in the playoffs and all that. And like the 49ers turned up, like Debo was on a mission, there was no losing that game. Right. And we even talked about like, they turn up for these weird games, like, I feel like if there's a time that this is going to be that, like, turn the fuck up. And, it should be already built in your heads. These are our sons. Go out there and son them. Like, I can't even think about, like, it's real quick. It's funny because every time, even though we've had a matchup since this one, but every time I think about the 49ers playing the Cowboys, the only game now that pops into my head, or actually even the only play that pops into my head, is that play where they lined up Zeke as like the center or whatever, and they had like people, like the weirdest thing like we've ever seen.
Or the quarterback draw.
Yeah, it totally didn't work at all. Like he got blown up. And it was just like, I remember looking at that play as we're lining up for it to happen, and I'm just like looking at the field like, what the hell is going on? Like, and then you see the play happen and it's just like, wow, like I've never seen something so stupid in my life on a football field, I swear. And then it's like you saw it replay so many times after, and it's just still hilarious. Like, till this day, if I see that clip, I crack up because it's just like, what were they even thinking?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how you know that the 49ers are in the Cowboys' heads like crazy. Because, like, who would even think to do something like that?
Yeah.
Like, you trying to outsmart yourself, or I don't know. I don't even know. But, like, we've been fortunate enough to see two of the worst plays of all time by the Cowboys in these past few matchups, and it's been glorious. So hopefully we get to see another stupid play this week too.
Yeah, and they have Zeke back, so maybe we can see something crazy. Because that, like, I still don't even know, like, what were they even trying to attempt, like, lining up like that. Like, it was just so like even if, like, let's say somehow it worked, like, what were you trying to do? Like, what was, like, what would have worked? Like, how? Like, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So yeah, crazy. Chat, we appreciate you all as always. Please make sure you like and subscribe both channels, Steph 49K and Faithfully in Vegas, both on YouTube. It's free. We appreciate you all so much. Steph, I appreciate you as always. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, same place. Two Goat Show. We're out. Peace.